What's happening, YouTube? Caesar Randone here, and welcome back to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that button. Today, we're talking PlayStation versus Xbox. Who will be the king of the handhelds? So, before we get right into it, if you do want to win a Razer Kishi, go ahead, watch that video right there, and all you gotta do is be subscribed and comment, and you could win one of these for free. Only about like 5 people have commented, so your chances are pretty good. Anyway, let's get into it. Alright, so you're probably wondering why I'm even comparing these two devices. Is it just because one's PlayStation and one's Xbox? Kind of, but it's also because of the price. See, the PlayStation Vita you can get anywhere from around $80 to like $120. And with the Xbox Kishi, it ranges anywhere from like $60 to $70 all the way to $100. So they're roughly around the same price for two handhelds. However, they are very, very different. So the first thing we're going to talk about these and compare is the size. So let's get started with the PlayStation Vita, shall we? So this PlayStation Vita is really, really small. This right here is just a plastic case I got from, I believe, eBay. It was around $25. You can get this anywhere, but once we take this off, you can see how slim this thing really is. This is the PlayStation Vita. It looks beautiful. Oh my goodness, it looks gorgeous. The size of this PlayStation Vita is extremely small. It definitely could fit in your pocket. Let's compare it to the Kishi. The Kishi is a little bit thicker, but you know, sometimes thick isn't bad just because you want to get that grip when you're playing your game. On the Vita, I kind of have trouble. My hands like slip off right here and it doesn't really feel good. So that's kind of how I feel about that. But it is convenient when you're trying to take it somewhere, especially just putting it and sliding it in your pocket. It's amazing. The screen is pretty big. This one, there's two versions. There's one with a screen that isn't too bright, which is the first one, and then the second one has the better screen display, I believe. Like I said though, the size of this is really small and convenient, and you could take anywhere. So, when it comes to the Razer Kishi right here, the size of this one all depends on your phone. So, what I'm saying is I have a Galaxy Note 10 Plus. This makes the size of the screen extremely huge, but then it also makes this extremely huge. So if I want to put it in my pocket, I can't. However, the whole point of this is the size of just the controls. So these, what you do is you bring it down, it closes like that, you fold it together and it closes, and then it's actually extremely tiny. I am so happy I could put this in my bag and take this wherever. I could even put it in my pocket and it feels great. So let's look at this compared to the PlayStation Vita, and you could see that this is pretty much the size of the screen, but as far as thickness, it's definitely a lot thicker. Alright, and the second thing I want to compare between these two handhelds is the games. Now, we'll start off with the PlayStation Vita. With the PlayStation Vita, there is so many games you can access. What you could do is you could actually even jailbreak this, go ahead and access Game Boy games, a whole bunch of Nintendo games, just a whole bunch of games in general. You can store them on the memory card, or you could get the micro SD card memory card converter, which you could use any micro SD card, 128, 256, and you could store all your games on there, which is amazing. Because when it comes to not having any signal in the middle of the Sahara Desert, or just like, I don't know, anywhere, you can play games no matter what. However, these games aren't going to be the most current games to date. They are going to be older games. But you can remote play current games on your PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 3 through the PlayStation Vita. But if you have the PlayStation 5, unfortunately, they did away with the Vita, so you're not able to remote play. Hopefully they're making a new one to where they can enable remote play with the PS5. That would be amazing. But as far as right now, this isn't compatible with that. But if you have a PS4, you're golden. Now when it comes to the Razer Kishi, you have access to a whole bunch of games, especially if you have Game Pass. You have access, they drop new games every month. I just found out I could play 2K and Madden 21 on Game Pass, which is crazy. Those are like the newest games for sports that have came out, and you can play them directly on your Kishi on the go on your handheld, which is amazing. You also have access to over hundreds and hundreds of different games, anywhere from old versions all the way to the newest Gears of War 5 and Halo 5 as well. But with this it's cloud streaming. So unfortunately, you're not going to be able to play them 100% if you have no signal. So if I'm stranded somewhere, I would much rather have my PlayStation Vita than my Razer Kishi. Just because this one, I may not even be able to open the app depending on my signal. Or I could open the app and play the games, but there's going to be a whole bunch of like lag and pixelation, and it just doesn't make the game as fun. So I believe with this round, as far as like being stranded somewhere, the PlayStation Vita wins. Right, but if I'm not stranded anywhere and I just have this and a great signal, I'm definitely gonna get the Kishi because I have access to all the newest games. But then remote play as well. I could play games off of my Xbox Series S or Xbox Series X or Xbox One. Doesn't matter what Xbox you have. I could play games like Cyberpunk directly on this right here, which is crazy. I love it. So I definitely recommend the Kishi if you're always like have good signal and stuff like that. But if you don't, I would recommend the PlayStation Vita. Alright, now let's talk about the buttons on these two handhelds. So when it comes to the PlayStation Vita, I feel like the buttons are a little small and that the little joysticks are extremely tiny. Granted, they get me to what I need to do, but when I'm playing a racing game, like I feel like I'm really tugging on that little stick just to move all the way to the left or right. And when it comes to the triggers, you only have these two in the back right here. So that's why I went ahead and I got that case so I could have the other triggers, because if not, I would be having to use the touchpad back, which I really don't like. I hate the touchpad back, if I'm being honest. Some people love that touchpad. I do not like it. I don't think it makes sense. I don't want to have my hands all the way back here when I'm doing that. When it comes to your phone and the buttons on your phone, it's amazing. Like these feel like they grabbed them straight off the Xbox and just slapped them on here when it comes to the joysticks. You also have that click, which sounds really good. I guess you get a little bit of that on the PlayStation Vita. Oh wow, you don't. I'm like forcing it. I think like, okay, you'd get no click whatsoever. So if you're playing remotely, that's something to think about too. Like if you're playing COD on your PS4 and you want to like, I click to slide, you can't slide. It's just, I mean, I don't know how you slide. I guess I'll have to change the button format, but with this, it's no problem. And then with this, you also have your Xbox button, your inventory button, and then your pause button. But all these buttons, especially the triggers, like they feel a lot better than they do on the PlayStation Vita. And like I said, I hate the fact that I have to touch the back on the Vita, whereas this one, it's just the triggers and it feels great. I use this so much. I love this. So in the comments, write down which one you would prefer. I personally like the Xbox one a little more, but that's just because the PlayStation one was good when I had a PS4, but I sold my PS4 to get a PS5, and unfortunately I haven't even seen that PS5 yet. But when I do get the PS5, unfortunately the Vita won't be a part of that because it doesn't work with it. So if you're looking for something that's going to last you a long time and you always have a connection to Wi-Fi, definitely go with the Xbox Razer Kishi. If you're just playing it like on airplanes or car rides or something like that, get the Vita so you could go ahead and waste a little bit of time doing that. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time, okay? Peace.